Welcome, my friends. This is Maniacal Incorporated returning after a long absence. So long that there has been another patch or another update to Crusader Kings 3. They still haven't introduced the Pope as the head of insular Christianity, but we have been given kill lists. And I've been going down through them with the last while. And very few people actually have a kill list as impressive as High King Rúadacán's. He's killed 11 people, 1 in battle. And then there was 1, just looks like 1 mysterious circumstances. And then 9 executions, which is substantial. Moltoli only executed 2 people during his reign. So Rúadacán is actually, he's probably one of our most violent kings ever, but he's also one of our longest reigning, so I suppose that's to be expected. I don't know if there's any other major updates in patch 1.2 or the 1.2 update that affect the game too much. I actually didn't think that the patch was out yet. I thought it was going to be coming in the next couple of days, but it looks like it's out with the addition of the kill list. And man, it's going to take me a while to get back into this. November was a very busy month for me. We're towards the end of November. It's nearly finished. So I finally have time to get back into this and get everything up to scratch. It looks like we've gotten a fancy new border around the symbol for the Kingdom of Ireland. That looks new. That's fancy. But yeah, November's been quite busy. I finally have time to get back into this, and I need to actually kind of figure out what I'm doing again. I've half forgotten, half remembered, half forgotten. So what I'm going to do is give a quick look around and see how various different things are going in the kingdom, but I do have an idea as to where we are going in the next few minutes. I do know that the last time I played, I started to revoke some territory from vassals. I'm trying to basically clean up some of the territories, especially as the High King is approaching his 75th birthday. I think we're just 2 months out. I'm trying to clean up his primary duchy, or high chiefdom, which is up here in Scotland somewhere. So I'm trying to clean that up. I'm revoking some territory and handing territory out to people just to try and get the kingdom some way stabilized. Another thing that I'm going to do in preparation for our move to feudalism, which definitely won't happen under Rúadacán now because I didn't do this previously. We're going to increase the tribal authority to level 3. And that now means that it's going to be, if I'm right, 10 years until we can do it again. And we're going to have the last innovation that we need to move to the feudal age. We're going to have that in 4 years, but it's going to be 10 years before we can move to the feudal era. Before I had to go on my break to make some videos for the Irish Nation Lives history channel, I was already putting a lot of thought into what our next move was going to be. Like I said, the High King, Rúadacán, is shoving on. We're going to get, as long as he dies of natural causes, we're going to get a pop-up a year in advance telling us of when he's going to die. So we're gonna have some advance notice of that. But all the same, I would love to try and have him become emperor. I think it's what he'd be pushing for. Interestingly enough, it's another thing I was thinking about. I kept saying that that the threat posed to us by the Swedish was probably identified by Flann Sinna II. And the more I thought about it, it's actually more likely that it was identified by Cúchurcha Mór. I think it was Cúchurcha that destroyed the entire kingdom by refusing to take the High Kingship and instead supporting his son, who was utterly unprepared, Moltoli. And while Ireland collapsed into anarchy, Cúchurcha Mór, of course, pushed down into England, took substantial chunks of land, all around here to Hibert, Mercia. He controlled all of this area at one stage, down into Huntingdonshire, Bedford, and I think he had this region as well, or maybe it was Essex. I can't remember which of the two regions he had, but he had substantial chunks of land as the Kingdom of Ireland was collapsing, and now that we're coming in to put them back together, We're building an entity which is going to be capable of standing against the Norse threat. Anyway, enough talking. I knew what it was that I wanted to do. We're going to try and finish off the Duchy of Lancaster. So we're basically going to declare war on England to conquer that duchy. And while we have our troops stood down before raising them and actually going to war, what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at Mercia. 54 troops. I have offered him vassalization on numerous occasions. He will not accept it. Now, this is actually Cuchurca Moore's great-grandson, am I right? So that is Green Graffador II, yeah. So we're going to declare war. And we're going to conquer the Duchy of Mercia. Before we get too bogged down in our wars, I think I'm going to switch from the military focus. So we're currently focusing on military. I was thinking of going for Overseer, and then we kind of switched and we came down the Gallantry. Courtship, that's not going to be much good to us. Controlled territory defender advantage, that could be of advantage if something goes wrong. And we could, of course, come down the strategist tree. But what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to switch our attention. And I've started to debate now which of the two I actually want to go for. I don't know how useful this tree is going to be to us. But the reason I want to switch over here is to either use... Yeah, I think we'll use scholarship focus to assist us with the development growth. So we'll switch to that for now. So we're going to need to try and bring up the development in some of our counties in preparation for moving into the feudal age. And so I think if we come back here and use that 15% bonus, it's going to be of help to us. So quite wisely, the Earl of Huntingdonshire has accepted a call to arms. And this is another region. We can actually see it here on the map. We've been trying to offer them vassalization as well. He has refused, and we're going to be right on his border. I actually think they're part of Mercia. So we should be in a position to create the actual high chiefdom of Mercia and then offer him vassalization that way. So this is very much a declaration that you had better step in line with our aspirations in this region or you will be crushed. If we briefly come up here to Scotland and look at one of the duchies or the high chiefdoms or high chieftainships that is held by the High King, we can see that part of it is still under Swedish occupation. And then two of the counties are held by a neighbouring duke. Now, they're in a war at the moment, so I'm not going to take it off of them. But I've just taken Angus from somebody who isn't too happy about it. So I did that. That was one of my last actions before I took a break for, geez, it was nearly a month, I'd say. And I was thinking of sorting out the problem over here, we'll say. So if we come to Man, Man holds vassalage over part of the Isles. So I was thinking of trying to sort all that out. The only problem is if we do that, Man will basically, it's already very weak, but it'll be weakened even further. So I'm actually thinking of possibly giving Duke Cochmall Lancaster when we take it, to basically solidify this branch of the family, descendants, direct and legitimate descendants of Flann Sinna. Distant, well, I won't say distant relatives, but technically close relatives of ours as well, because we know the truth, that Flann Sinna is actually our father instead of Urgus. So I want to keep that branch of the family, the Flann Sinna branch of the family, strong, and we're maybe going to give them a few more areas from our conquests. I've split the forces into 4 armies, and we're bringing them across to hit 4 targets to start with. 2 in Mercia, hopefully to bring that war to an end as quickly as possible. We see a large English force coming up. And I figured out how to reorganize the army, so I went through it there and I actually reorganized them, tried to level it out a bit and make the troops a bit more even, so to actually have an equal amount of knights in all of the armies. There's still a bit of a problem at the moment that when you split the armies, all it does is just dumps all of the knights into one contingent. And so I went through that there and just kind of sorted it out a small bit. We see that English army is probably heading for Dublin. And to siege down the capital of Mercia itself, we have an army under the command of the High King. It has some onagers attached to it, and he also has a bonus for shortening the actual siege phase. Hopefully, I just see that some allies of ours have come in against, I think, the English, and they don't even, lads, they're cutting you across the back, and you don't even see it. Stop pointing at people. Turn around and fight, you fool. No, he's no idea what's going on. Poor old thing. I do remember that in the last episode we were quite excited by the fact that at 74 years of age, approaching 75 years of age, he's actually turned 75, High King Rúadacán was going to become a father yet again, but unfortunately that has ended in tragedy. We have lost both our wife and the child. Why, Saint Breed? What have I done to deserve this? We gain 64 stress. And if we very quickly look at the High King and his family, I thought it was going to be quite impressive that his eldest child would be 55 years of age as his youngest child was born. But like I said, that has ended in tragedy. We suffer a good chunk of a stress penalty, which is going to drive us up into level 1. So we're overwhelmed by stress. And here's our ally, way out in the middle of Byzantium, calling for more help. Peasant Rising as a defender. Yeah, I'm going to decline. There's no point in just messing up stuff by accepting everything. Because the amount of battles we've entered our alliance with. Ah, no, those guys. That only came to fruition. I thought it only came to fruition quite recently. Maybe not. But when this game ends, or when Rúadacán's life comes to an end, I don't like this. When his life comes to an end, he's going to have been in so many battles and so many wars that he didn't actually take part in, that we just clicked yes, accept. So we are no longer a living legend. I think that might be because we refused to aid with that peasant revolt. So maybe we should have. But now would be a perfect time to convert to Orthodoxy. And that would give us a reason to go and help I think he's Orthodox, and I don't know, is he our son-in-law or grandson-in-law? Our other options are to suffer even more stress, or to become reclusive in the final years of our life, lose 58 stress, and we would break up our friendship with our eldest child, Countess Flann. I spoke there recently in either the last episode or the one before it about when Robert Fisk passed away a couple of weeks ago. They reprinted one of his articles about how he was caught speeding to the funeral of President Childers, and he just wanted to go basically to get a look at Eamon de Valera, this ancient figure who had been connected with the Irish politics going back to 1916. But he said that de Valera's aides commented that at that stage he was depressed with his long life. He was depressed at how old he was, and possibly that is exactly how Rúadacán is feeling right now. So like I said, we have Rúadacán commanding this army, or this siege, and he also has the onagers, and you can see how far ahead of all of the other groups he is. Oh wow, he just got a substantial boost there, but you can see how far ahead of all of the other groups they are in that siege. Now possibly I should have put him in to the siege to the to the west, and I might bring him across to there in a second, because they seem to be having problems with it. But yeah, we should have Mercia wrapped up quite quickly. We might actually need to move north and occupy the actual territories in Lancaster that we want to get our hands on, in our efforts to sort out our duchy in Scotland. I have retracted even more land, and we actually need to come back to this guy again later on and retract even more land from him. But for now, what I'm going to do... So he actually controls 2 duchies, Galloway and the Isles. So we'd be taking this region off of Flann Sinna and awarding it to him. But what I'm going to do for now is I am going to grant him Carrick, which has actually been in Rúadacán's possession. So I will grant that to him and see if it will make him like me a small bit. So that's sorted out his region. And my area is also a bit more sorted out. Let's see where we are. So all I'm missing now is this county, which is, or maybe I'm not. I'm very confused now. Maybe. Oh, that's actually... I didn't realize that. The one guy held both counties, so I think we've actually sorted out the entire duchy. Have we? I think we have. Other than that. And I was actually thinking of declaring war on Sweden to take control of that territory instead of going against England and Mercia, but a war for one county, or kind of a concentrated war for a heap of counties down here. We're coming in that we've started winning some sieges. A series of wars for areas down here is what I decided on instead. Well, I don't know what to say. High Queen Romilda has become pregnant. So looks like... Well, looks like the High King is still firing on all cylinders even after becoming reclusive. Why the hell did our vassals just abandon a siege? Or not our vassals, but our allies. Are they our allies? Are they helping us? They should be. They abandoned. They were doing quite well there. Now, what are you doing? I'm becoming suspicious of you guys now. We've sent the High King up to Derby. I think we're sending another army way, way up to Westmoreland to siege down that area. So we'll be keeping a couple of forces down here. These guys had already finished this siege, so I said there'd be no point in bringing the High King in. And just as expected, the English, I believe, am I right? I can't see. Oh yeah, they're there. The English have started to siege down Dublin, so we might need to send somebody across to deal with that, and possibly moving these guys to somewhere else. That is an exceptionally small region. Or is it that there's 2 castles in the same county? You know what? Maybe we might be in a position to bring this war to an end just by sending them in that direction. One of our sons has come of age. A number of them have died already. At least 3 sons. 2 I think were killed in sieges. Killed in a siege and killed in a siege. And then our namesake, Rúadacán, died of poor physique. But Urcaig has come of age. I remember we named him after a bishop. And he is, just like his father, military engineer, skilled tactician, and intelligent. Is this a potential successor for the High Kingship? I know that we're supporting Elgol at the moment, but he's shoving up in years. We would like to have a long and lengthy reign, and I think preparing this guy to take the High Kingship and bring Ireland into the feudal era, that's something to think about. Of course, we should have a high level of dread at the moment. They grow up so fast. You can see I've actually... I'll close this a second. We've won another siege. I've actually started... Oh, we're very close to bringing that to an end. I've actually started to bring these guys up to Warwickshire. I was hoping to hit them, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these two armies, and I'm going to send them a crew. They're bringing in some more forces. I think we should have Derby taken quite shortly, and I think we might be in a position to bring the entire, all of those three sections, so the guys in Derby and these guys down here, bring them across and hit Dublin and leave these guys to siege down here. That should bring that war to an end. I think we could leave Mercia to just for the score to just tick up. I imagine that's going to tick up once we've taken Derby. I think we can pretty much send those armies across and deal with England. I've taken my troops to the coast. They're poised to sail across. There's been a big push there in Dublin. Derby has just fallen. What we'll do... I actually have some problems with my mouse at the moment, which you might be able to see. I'm going to start the process of bringing these guys across. Will we have enough? I don't think we're going to be able to lift the siege of Dublin in time, but we will send everybody across, and we will see how things go. The worst thing for us now would be for England to win that siege and do just what it's doing. Okay, that's exactly what I did not want to happen. So they have lifted that siege. Can I keep these guys here? No, they're going out into the water. My troops are going to land. Can we possibly get the Irish forces to land, move them up, and then bring the other forces across to join the battle? It's less than optimal. It's less than optimal. That did not end well, and they did capture somebody. Whoa, I was just getting rid of something as that popped up. We have another sun and a bit of music that actually plays in the background now when that pops up. And apparently we can decide on which Magic the Gathering... Oh wait, no, that's not a Magic the Gathering symbol. I thought it was. We can name them after an ancestor, good insular name, good Irish name. How could you possibly disagree or argue against naming your son Murcha, or Murchad, as it would have been pronounced at the time? What's our other option? Name after a family member. So they've done a bit of a change around here. Praise Saint Breed. So how old is the High King? Don't care about this poor woman. 35. She's the one that did all the actual hard work. High King Rúadacán, 76 years of age, and he is a father again. May you grow to be strong and wise, my son. Okay, so some of our forces have landed in to the south of Dublin. They're going to have a penalty if they go in against the English. My only hope would be that we can get the Irish forces across and land them at the same time. What's it telling me in terms of how the battle is going to go? We have a better army commander, but we're also recently disembarked. So what I'd be hoping is if we can bring... Yeah, this isn't looking great one way or another. I don't want to just leave the English come across and attack the Irish army. I think I'm going to think about this for a couple of seconds. So we've just got a pop-up that we are now overwhelmed by stress, and I think this is going to be happening a lot. Well, maybe not a lot. We've only one more sibling left alive. But as we go into old age, and as more and more of our family die off, I think we're going to suffer from more and more stress. We've lost 64 stress on the death of our brother, who we were supporting for the High Kingship, Fado, about, oh man, 5 decades ago, or 4 or 5 decades ago at this stage. Died of old age at 68, which is quite a lengthy life for somebody in the Kingdom of Ireland. but of course nothing compared to the 76 years of age that that King Rúadacán has reached. What I'm doing here is we're going to see what we can do to decrease stress, but I have parked Rúadacán's army next to these guys in Westmoreland. So if the English army does come across, they'll be able to either attack them or defend. I might actually bring them down. Possibly start marching them all the ways down back into England, in case the English come around that way. We're going to wait for the English to leave, and then we're going to go in and siege Dublin back down. The war score with Mercia isn't ticking up as I was hoping, so what we're probably going to have to do is send somebody in to take Nottinghamshire. I wish these guys would do something, but they just seem to be kind of standing around, doing not much. So as we siege down Dublin, we see that the English have landed in northern Wales, and they are about to clash with an Irish army. We're being backed up by our allies, and it looks like we're actually going to accidentally march around them. They've managed to get into a slightly better defensive position. Hopefully we can hit them before they leave, or else we're going to be having a bit of a run around. There you go. Also, we have a new little map, or a new little interface for battles. I'm not gonna lie. I still don't really know what's going on. I have to put some work into actually figuring out all this stuff. One of our champions has been slain. That's not great because we don't have a lot of them. We are in need of champions. We've actually recruited a few. And yes, obviously, I've just made Urquaid a knight. Duh. As if we haven't lost enough family members in battle. We could always lose more. Now, I can feel it in my very bones. Death will come for me soon. Like an old friend, he is patiently waiting to receive me. I will be dead within a year. He seems quite calm and quite accepting of his fate. So we're looking at the 26th of November, 10:33, and today, just in case you're wondering, IRL, is the 26th of November, 2020. I'm actually recording this on the 26th of November, so it'll be interesting to see if he does actually die on that date. We pause very quickly. A quick look at the battle there, the last battle that the High King will take part in. Gudbrand, who was commanding the army, had 80 kills, or the group around him had 80 kills. He was commanding because his group was the first one in. The High King's group came in after that. And as I said, it's the last battle the High King will command because I have removed him from the army that he was controlling, so that he may return to die in Ireland. And his son, Urquaid, has been given command of the onagers and sent to siege down Nottinghamshire. I've switched my vote to Urquaid for the election for the High Kingship. I'm going to let it wait out a couple of minutes to see if it has any effect. There's a -50 penalty because of familial concerns, so I don't think we're going to be able to secure his election to the High Kingship. I'll give it a few months, early into the start of the next year, and then we'll see what the scenario looks like there. So no, we have not been able to secure the election of our son, but instead they are supporting Finshnachta. Never mind, they're supporting Quillan. Both of those are actually individuals that I have thought about supporting, and if we can't get Urquaid elected, I'm going to support one of the two of them. I rather them to Elgol. His main problem is that he is a descendant of Lochnawn. He is not a descendant of, other than the original Flann Sinna, he is not descendant from any prior High King. And Leachnán's branch was kind of excluded after Flann Sinna the first selection. Now here's the other problem. The English army have turned around and are coming back up. Our allies have... oh, well done. Just a big U-turn. The 1.2 patch also improved the enemy AI. So it looks like the English are indeed going to come up to Leicestershire. Or maybe not. Or maybe they're looking for a better position to come across from. So what I was thinking of doing was letting them hit Leicestershire and then bringing our army south. That's exactly what's going to happen. So our army will come into the battle ever so slightly later. I don't want to bring them in too early and for the English to pull back. Let's see. I'd say that's... I think they're locked in. So Arcade's army is going to lift its siege and come down. Those allies, if they'd stayed closer, they'd have been able to actually come in a lot earlier. Are they just making sure that they're coming into the right area? There they are. So defending well, considering that we're vastly outnumbered. It's falling a bit. Arcade would want to get his men in. Champion of ours was maimed. Now the Huntingdonshire, who isn't too sure what to think of all this. Because they know that they're going to have even more Irish land on their borders and that they will pretty much have to accept vassalization. They come in at the final few blows. Gudbrand has ripped somebody's head off. And Brangen MacDiarmida, I think, is possibly actually a member of the house of... the house that's ruling Huntingdonshire. As he is the current leading candidate for the High Kingship, let's take a look at Quillan. Another thing that that attracted me towards supporting him is the fact that he is a son of Maltolese. He's a 3-star diplomat and a siege engineer. His prowess isn't great. He's 56, so he's already outlived a substantial number of Irish High Kings. We could be looking at a relatively short rule and the possibility then of bringing in Arcade or a younger member of the family to replace him. So what I think I'm going to do is we're gonna support him for the High Kingship. So if we come down to the election, so at the moment we're pretty much the only ones that are supporting Arcade, if I am correct. Yeah. And then the other nominees are all either Finch Nocta, who is a son of Ciarán, who ruled for 15 months before the lengthy reign of Rúadacán. So Leachnán the second is, I think we were supporting him for the High Kingship at one stage, and we were actually supporting, and we were definitely supporting his son at the start of this episode. But they're now, he's the only person that is supporting Elgol and Quillan and Arcade. Yeah, so let's see if we can find. And we will put our support behind Quillan, and I think that will pretty much guarantee his succession. Massive numbers of kills again in that last battle by Tord. Not gonna lie, I don't remember this guy. He's married to some member of the family. And Gudbrand, of course, doing a fantastic job. He's unlanded. Did I not give him land at one stage? No, we didn't. We were thinking of invading Orkney to support his claims there. Do you know what? That's possibly something for the next High King. That's maybe something for the next High King. This guy is in prison. Where is he in prison? Let's check if he's in our prison. He is in our prison. Here is the wife and the daughter of the High Chieftain of Mercia. Here is a captain of the mercenaries that are fighting against us. And here is a guy whose health isn't great. He's near death. He's badly wounded and maimed. And then, like I said, here is the captain of the mercenary group. We could release both of these men and force them to convert, or... Oh, I nearly went for the wrong person. We could put them out of their misery. We've become a dreadful ruler again, and the worst thing is that unless we can bring one of these wars to an end quickly, there's a good chance that we're going to miss out on the achievement, or not on the achievement, but that Rúadacán will no longer be a living legend when he dies. We got a pop-up there. I didn't actually click on it in time to to check who that was, but we might check that out in a couple of seconds. We've lifted the siege of Dublin, and I am sending one of my armies in to try and hit these guys in a hope that that might actually bring this battle to an end. We resume our siege of Nottinghamshire, and we have hit what little remains of Mercia's army. Nothing seems to have happened. It's commanded by the High Chieftain himself. And with that, we have 100% war score. We enforce our demands to the serene High King Rúadacán of Ireland. May you live... That's mean. May you live in harmony and contentment. I don't think so. So be it. Yes. He's back up to living legend. And now, look at this. Ireland has extended down into Mercia. I'm trying to think. I was going to see if we could offer Huntingdonshire vassalization, but we can't because they're currently in a war that we invited them into. Let's check what our new lands look like. So the High King himself has taken Warwickshire. We're bringing our forces down to siege Oxfordshire, pretty much just to provide some protection from an English army that has disappeared off the south of the map. And they're coming back up. And I'm hoping that our allies will continue to siege down Leicestershire. Maybe I should stop these guys where they are. Here is the wife of the former High Chieftain of Mercia. The title has just been destroyed, and she has been ransomed to their son, who is the Duke of Cornwall, somebody else who's going to be getting a vassalization invitation at some stage, and hopefully he will see what happened to his father and he will accept. We're undertaking a bit of a tactical retreat. The English are coming up for Oxfordshire. We're going to retreat north and meet up with the other army that we're sending down south, Arcade's army. Unless I ordered them into Leicestershire. Maybe I did. It looks like I did. But I am bringing the forces that were sieging down Dublin, about 3,000 troops. They're coming across. You can actually just see them up there in the top left-hand corner at the moment. And hopefully the English will go in against the army in Leicestershire. They won't. Ah, they're coming in against Warwickshire instead. Okay, if they hit them, I will You see, if we bring out our forces from Leicestershire, we're going to lose all that siege progression. So I think I'll just move them into nearby. Okay, there is no nearby. They're also going into the siege. Grand out. Attrition is going to go through the roof, but sure, how bad? How bad? I just got a pop-up that Gudbrand has finished increasing control somewhere. Look at this. They've changed the colours, which is helpful, because before I didn't really know what was high or low control. Now we know pretty much what is low control. We can see Warwickshire is the darkest shade of red, as is our little overseas holding in France. I'm not too sure why that is, but I'm still happy with my decision to shift Rúadacán from the learning tree. It now looks like we could have gotten that achievement if I'd put him down theology, but to bring him across to control, because we were crippled at one stage. And this looks bad. This looks bad. How red everywhere is. Do you know what? We'd actually better put him back in Dublin. I think at the start of this episode, excuse me, he finished restoring control to Dublin. Then it got sieged down and control has been hammered again. So that's where we'll put him. It's going to take him 3 years. The High King will not live to see that. And look at this. Actually, here's the man next in charge. I didn't realize this. That Quillan. I knew the name. I knew I'd heard it being referenced a couple of times. But he's actually our Chancellor. This will tell you how long it's been since I played. Also, the Archbishops have been given a new method of dress. New tunics. Or new cassocks. I don't know, is that just for insular Irish? Or is that for all Catholic or Christian faiths? But yeah, no, I'm happy with that decision to restore control, because look at the size of an army that we have at the moment, and we would not have been able to undertake anything near the expansions that we have down around here if it hadn't been for that restoration of control. And speaking of the siege of Dublin, the Irish troops who lifted that siege, or not who lifted it, but who sieged it back down, they have just landed, and I am going to march them north, because I have a feeling the English are going for Westmoreland. It's entirely possible that we will have sieged down Leicestershire before they get there, and it's also possible that the war score will have actually ticked up, because it's now up to 92. It was at 90, so it's ticking up slowly but surely. And I think this has been the big problem with Rúadacán's reign, is that we've had these long, drawn-out battles. I didn't expect this one to go on as long as it did. Now, I know I declared war on 2 separate entities at the same time, but yeah, we've been having slight bits of trouble just trying to bring wars to an end quickly. I think the English know what's up. And so, on the 15th of July... as High King Rúadacán turns 77 years of age. I'm sure many in the court will have found him to be acting not exactly strange of late, but they will have found that he's been kind of checking up on people, telling them things he would like to give them, should he die, maybe mending old friendships. He knows that he has but a few months left to live, and he's finishing off the last couple of things that he needs to do before he dies. I think we're going to see the war for Mercia end. And because we only have a couple of months left to his life, I think I'm going to try... Well, it actually doesn't make a difference. We're going to enforce our demands. Oh, I thought we'd have to wait a while. To the obnoxious High King Rúadacán, that is going to be the top letter on the big library of documentation that is handed over to Rúadacán's successor. That is the last formal notification, or the last formal decree that will be sent to High King Rúadacán, to the obnoxious High King Rúadacán. May your humours rot in your living body. You are a much greater foe than I imagined. In order to put an end to this bloodshed, I will comply with your demands. So be it. As always, I managed to mess things up. Durham and Cheshire were held by one of our previous knights, Sorkver. When he died, both titles went to his son. Durham was sieged off of him, though. So he only had Cheshire, and so I gave him Derby. I then gave Westmoreland to Cochmall in the Isle of Man. And then I created the Duchy of Lancaster, which would be these 4 counties, and granted the duchy to Cochmall. There's a small bit of a problem that I didn't actually see, and that is that, there you can see, Chieftain Sorkver actually held substantial other territories that weren't in Lancaster. And yeah, he basically has, I don't think, he's not a chieftain, but he basically has, I don't know what the hell you'd call this, his own high chieftainship, almost. So yeah, and also Lancaster apparently belongs to us. I didn't realize that. So yeah, do you know, it's gonna be simple. I think one of our sons will probably inherit Lancaster, and we can just put them under. We let the next High King worry about this. The other thing that I have done is I've recreated the Duchy of Mercia, or the High Chieftainship of Mercia, and it was -30 to vassalization before this, but now Northamptonshire will accept vassalization. So we will offer to them. We also have Bedford. They're at war, I believe. That's a -29, and I can't imagine that Essex, which is an earldom, will accept either. It's a -126. And as we were talking about a while ago, what about Cornwall? Can't even offer him vassalization. Isn't even capable of thinking of such a thing. Greetings, my serene liege. That's more like it. I accept your gracious offer of vassalization, my liege. He's down to -80. He doesn't like us. Wants a seat on the council. Short reign. Short reign. Who are you talking to about a short reign? Excellent. And look at this. The Irish font, Ireland, which had been for so long going up here at an angle, now stretches like a beautiful rainbow over the Irish Sea and into England. I don't think we have much of a choice. We might even come out to here. There's not a huge amount that we have to do over the next couple of months. Only wait to die. We can see just how little of the British and Irish Isles is now outside of our grasp. The next king, there's the reason that we can't take Cornwall, because it's still part of Brittany. I'd forgotten about that. The next king, what's he going to be looking at? Orkney, an attack on Sweden, and Bedfordshire has just refused vassalization. We also have Essex, who have refused vassalization, so there are 2 other areas that we could attack immediately. So yeah, we have some options in terms of expansion. It's not all over and done with just yet. And what would an episode be without paying a visit to our good friends in Sweden? Look at this for an army. Do you remember when we were afraid of the Swedish? Do you remember those days? I have no idea what's going on here. Oh, we can unlock a new lifestyle perk. Fantastic. Who is the major power over here now? Anyone? I've no idea what has happened over here in the last couple of decades. We haven't really been watching. The last decade, Probably. I know there was massive wars going on for control of this general region. The Sami attempted to conquer all of Sweden at one stage. Norway has expanded massively, so at one, I think Norway had about a county down here once upon a time. Look what they have. Look what they have. They have our ancient, lost, insular Norse holdings, which we once upon a time held. But it looks like they've been crushed utterly. All of the Swedish powers, all of the Norse powers in this region, at the moment anyway, they're not in a capacity to put together anything too frightening. These guys, occupying lands, the southern parts of their lands. Well, here's the southern parts of their lands. Okay, the middle part of their lands would once upon a time have belonged to the Gardariki. Now, of course, Sweden does still have substantial holdings down here, but I'm disappointed. I'm disappointed in Savoy, what's left of Savoy, that they can't push against Sweden when it's in this capacity. It is fighting a number of wars. People are stripping counties off of it. Somebody in Norrland is pushing somebody else's claim for the entire kingdom of Sweden itself. And so, with his last lifestyle perk, the High King, Rúadacán II, will be known as Faithful. Clergy opinion goes up by 10. Fantastic. Look at all of the perks he has unlocked. So we could have had another 7, which would have gotten us right to here. And of course, we would have been gaining extra lifestyle perks in the theology tree or in the learning tree if we had stayed here. But how bad? How bad? It hasn't been too bad of a reign for him. He's living legend. I didn't manage to get him up to piety. Again, I didn't think he was going to live this long. It's a terror. We can't really do too much. I won't say we can't do too much, but there's no point in doing too much at this point in time. I think Rúadacán would want to spend the last few months of his life, the last few minutes of his life, chilling, illin, maxin, relaxin. He has extended Ireland to its greatest peak ever. He has re-established control over a lot of the lands that Cuchurcamur conquered, pushed down almost to the very southern coast of England. And if we had another couple of years, we'll pause very quickly, if we had another couple of years, he would have been able to finish off the conquest in totality. Our brother Brutor has died. And that's the amazing thing, is that he has now outlived. He was the eldest sibling, the eldest born child of Urgus, and he has outlived every single one of his siblings. And somebody has decided to start a siege, or not to start a siege, but to start attacking some of our lands. And what a time for them to do it. He's outlived November. We're expecting that he would pass away in November of this year. We're getting the opportunity to hold a feast. We're being raided. You know what? If I remember correctly, Rúadacán came to power during a feast. His predecessor died, and it would be only too fitting if the exact same thing happened here. Do we have anyone close? I know we can move these around, or so I believe. I thought I saw that there was an option to actually pick them up and move them. We will raise all here. And it's entirely possible that the High King could die at any second. Feast. A cheery gathering. The guests are gathered in the great hall, lords and ladies from the near and far reaches of the realm. The mood is bright, the spirits are high as the feast begins. Welcome, friends. The High King, Rúadacán II of Ireland, has crossed the door to the world of spirits at 77 years of age. He died of unknown causes. Although quite famous for his sharp intellect, he could still not outsmart death. High King Flann ascends to the throne. A gentle and compassionate soul, the vassals will surely thrive under Flann's reign. We'll take a quick look at saying that he died of unknown causes, but of course it was old age on the 11th of December 1033. He was the cultural head, dreaded, the living legend. He was quite close to being the highest degree of religious devotion as well. Lifestyle learning, scholar and whole body. 17 wars, not as many as I thought, 11 offensive and 16 defensive wars. If we look at the titles, the High King has inherited, I forgot that I was supposed to be worried about that. What would happen to the Kingdom of Alba? I actually forgot completely about that. But because, I presume because these two titles have different succession laws, even though we have Confederate partition, they have both come to Flann. And what else has he gotten? He has gotten Meath, he has gotten the Earldom of Oriel, and I'll have to sort out this mouse. The Earldom of Dublin. So it's basically just Meath and Dublin and Oriel, which is what Rúadacán started with as well, I believe. And then we can see that our eldest son has gained our primary duchy. I actually forgot to give Mercia to somebody else. I meant to give Mercia to somebody else. And there's Arcaid, who we're going to be supporting, probably we're going to be supporting, for the High Kingship going forward. I will click continue as High King Flann. But of course, for today, we're going to be calling it a stop on the death of the High King. What a reign that was. What a career. What a period in time in Irish history. It's going to be difficult to top that. It's going to be difficult for any Irish High King to live up to what he achieved. The kingdom, like I said, it's at its greatest ever extent. Law replaced. Okay, not too sure why that came into us. It is at its greatest ever extent, and really it's only a matter of time before we can push into England and finish off our conquest to take the last couple of places that we need to create an empire. We're probably going to see an attack on Orkney, an attack on probably Sweden down here. I think it's more we can gain 2 counties if we attack this part of Sweden. And like I said, Essex and Bedfordshire. And as we began today's episode, so we will end it with the kill list for High King Rúadacán II. He only killed 12 people. I thought we were at 11 at the start of the episode, and that we executed 2 more today, but maybe I was wrong. Thank you for joining me on this episode. It was... I didn't expect him to die. I wasn't too sure whether he was going to die in this episode. After expecting it in all the ones that have gone by, I didn't really expect it today. I didn't think the episode would go on as long. It did take us a while to finish off that siege. But Rúadacán's career has come to an end, and now, finally, we have an opportunity to look back on all that he achieved. The massive expansions that he made into England. I think it should be easy enough for the next 1 or 2 kings to wrap it up. Again, Flann is into his mid to late 50s, so I'm not expecting a reign as long as that of Rúadacán's. He's a figure who has emulated Brian Boru in a number of different ways. His age and the length of his reign, the stability that he has brought to the kingdom. The only thing that he hasn't emulated is that on Brian Boru's death there was basically a collapse, a political collapse in Ireland, so at least he hasn't emulated that. But yeah, we're going to see if Flann can finish off what Rúadacán came so close to achieving. Possibly getting 1 or 2 more achievements with him. maybe would we be able to get the one for the highest level of devotion? We'll see. We might be able to. And or else, if he can facilitate transitioning the kingdom to somebody like Urcaead, Rúadacán's son, to finish off bringing Ireland into the feudal age, so we can do a couple of things there, and creating an empire to defend ourselves should we ever see a Norse resurgence, which I think at this point in time we are not going to see. Like I said, thank you for joining me on this episode, and thank you very much for all of your support recently, because a few of you came across over onto Twitch and followed me there. I was able to get affiliate status. I'll be kind of keeping the lines demarcated a bit between YouTube and Twitch. I consider YouTube for videos and Twitch for streaming. I'll be putting up some CK3 content there that I'll then be reposting on YouTube at a later point in time. I'm going to be streaming some mods which have kind of expanded Ireland out a bit, so we're going to see what those look like. But like I said, thank you very much for all of the support. It means a lot. Thank you for joining me on this episode, and I hope to see you on the next one as we look at the early years of Cuileán's rule.